Quantum leaders the diplomat, the pre-conscious flow of reality. The diplomat's natural style, emotionally intuitive, harmony-focused, and connection-driven, relies not on formulas, but on feel. They navigate conversations, relationships, and tensions not by predefined logic, but by sensing what wants to happen before it is spoken. Through the quantum principle of the preconscious, we discover that the diplomat's greatest strength is not just emotional intelligence. It is field sensitivity. Long before a conversation begins, a rupture occurs, or a solution is offered, the diplomat has already felt the shape of what's to come. They don't plan connection. They listen it into form. With a motivation direction of towards, the diplomat seeks to build trust and repair through thoughtful presence. But their awareness of what needs mending often arises before the signs are visible. A subtle shift in someone's tone, a quiet urgency in a group, a relational discomfort no one else has named. These are preconscious cues, not yet rational, but completely real. When the diplomat begins trusting these signals as relational truth, they begin resolving misalignments before they manifest. Their attention focus on others makes them exceptionally perceptive, but what they sense often arrives in waves, feelings, flickers of knowing. Someone feels off, even though everything looks fine. A conversation needs to happen soon, though no conflict has occurred. These are not guesses. They are the early movements of the emotional system speaking through their nervous system. The more the diplomat honors these sensations, the more precise and graceful their timing becomes. With an external frame of reference, they listen and adapt based on cues from the room. But the most important cues often rise before external behavior shifts. A moment of silence that feels charged, a meeting that has a strange energy, a project that seems fine on paper but carries emotional weight. These intuitive hits are not anomalies, they're the early truth of the field. When the diplomat trusts them, they intervene not out of reaction, but from readiness. Their options-based operational style gives them flexibility, but often they know which option wants to emerge before it's even discussed. In moments of hesitation, they may feel a gentle pull toward one path, even without evidence. The preconscious speaks in this subtle directional intelligence. When the diplomat follows it, without rushing, they begin proposing ideas that seem just right, or asking questions that unlock doors no one realized were closed. Their general viewpoint helps them navigate emotional themes, but the preconscious lives beneath the theme. It appears in the moment someone avoids eye contact, or when a group suddenly feels heavy. It speaks through a sentence that arrives unplanned and lands perfectly. The diplomat's leadership sharpens when they begin trusting these intuitive markers, even when they cannot yet explain them. With a proximity work preference, they are immersed in the emotional fabric of teams and groups. This makes them incredibly receptive to subtle cues, tension in someone's shoulders, hesitation in speech, sudden quietness. These are not distractions. They are data. The diplomat becomes a quiet seer when they treat these not as curiosities, but as early invitations to shift the emotional field with care. Their emotional engagement is associated. They feel what others feel. But often, they sense emotions that others haven't named yet. They feel grief before it is admitted, frustration before it erupts, hope before it becomes visible. The preconscious expresses through emotion before cognition. When the diplomat slows down and lets these emotions be felt without urgency, they become a guide, not just to others, but to what's forming. As matchers, they work with what has worked before, but their preconscious instincts often pull them toward something new before it's comfortable, a new way of speaking, a new structure for a hard conversation, a new tone. When they trust these nudges, not to replace what's worked, but to gently evolve it, they lead relational innovation. Not loudly, not quickly, but right on time. Their through-time orientation helps them track relational pacing, but the preconscious doesn't operate in schedules. It pulses, it whispers. A certain phrase wants to be spoken now, not tomorrow. A moment of reflection appears before the meeting begins. A decision feels clearer than expected. These moments are not coincidences. They are the field speaking. The diplomat grows when they let this timing lead the rhythm of interaction, and with a primary drive of people, they are always oriented toward connection. But some of their most impactful work begins before connection is visible. A hunch to check in with someone, a feeling that someone is withdrawing, even when they say, "I'm fine." The diplomat's ability to sense relational threads loosening before they break is what makes their leadership not only compassionate, but preemptive and wise. In this frame, the diplomat is no longer just a facilitator. They are a tuner of resonance, someone who listens to what is stirring beneath language, beneath logic, beneath emotion. They stop waiting for the obvious signal. They begin responding to the field's earliest whisper. Their timing becomes impeccable. Their presence becomes medicine, and their leadership becomes not reactive, but deeply preconscious, softly transformative, and precisely human. Quantum leaders, the diplomat. You are the tipping point. The diplomat's natural style, empathetic, steady, and attuned to group dynamics, often positions them as the quiet harmonizer, the behind the scenes holding the relational field together. But under the final quantum principle, you are the tipping point, their influence is revealed in full. The diplomat is not just helping maintain equilibrium, they are often the exact presence that shifts the system. Their tone, timing, and choice to speak or not can determine whether a conversation de-escalates, whether trust begins to rebuild, whether movement begins after tension. In moments when everyone is uncertain, the diplomat's courage to name what's real and hold it with care is what pivots the group into forward motion. With a motivation direction of towards, the diplomat is oriented toward unity and peace. But in moments of friction, unity does not come from waiting. It comes from someone being first to trust the moment. When the diplomat names the unspoken, offers an unexpected kindness, or invites honesty with tenderness, they shift the field. Their movement, gentle but deliberate, tips the emotional system from guardedness into openness. Their attention focus on others gives them extraordinary read on people's emotional states. But what matters most is what they do with what they know. The tipping point comes when they act on the sensing, when they break a silence that has grown heavy, or offer empathy that softens defensiveness. They don't have to fix the system. They just have to move first, with intention. Others follow the emotional permission they create. With an external frame of reference, the diplomat often waits for signs of safety before offering hard truths. But in a frozen room, that safety never arrives until someone initiates it. When they choose to speak, not as reaction, but as invitation, they become the pivot. Their willingness to go first says to the system, this is a space where it's safe to be real. Their options-based operational style allows for flexibility, but the tipping point requires commitment. The group may be looping in options, stuck in indecision. The diplomat becomes the tipping point when they gently say, let's move forward with this. Or, here's what I'm sensing needs to happen. Their clarity, when offered with care, becomes the moment the group reorients. Their general viewpoint helps them track the emotional arc of a team. But when the field is uncertain, someone needs to offer direction. Not forcefully, but decisively. The diplomat's subtle sense of timing truth becomes the hinge point. They don't overpower the system, they turn it by presence. With a proximity work preference, they are often embedded in team energy. But they may undervalue how much others look to them for subtle cues. The moment the diplomat relaxes, speaks, or even smiles, the emotional temperature shifts. Their gestures tip the field not because they are loud, but because they are felt. Their emotional engagement is associated. They feel it all. But the tipping point is not feeling. It's what they do with the feeling. When the diplomat takes one step, extends empathy, asks the deeper question, acknowledges the elephant in the room, they change what's possible. Emotional courage becomes emotional direction. As matchers, they often replicate what has worked in the past, but sometimes the field is waiting for a new move. The tipping point may come when the diplomat chooses to interrupt the familiar, to express something they normally wouldn't, or invite a shift no one expects. Their choice to lead relationally, not just gently, initiates the new rhythm. Their through-time orientation helps them hold space over time, but the tipping point happens in the moment. There's a phrase that needs to be said now, a check-in that needs to happen today, a repair that becomes possible only if the window is caught. The diplomat's power is revealed when they trust the now, even if it's imperfect. And with the primary drive of people, they are motivated by connection. But tipping the field means realizing that sometimes they must take the risk first. They must go first in vulnerability, first in truth, first in generosity. Not because they want control, but because someone has to model the move. And when they do, the rest of the system catches up. In this final frame, the diplomat becomes more than the facilitator of safety. They become the first wave of change. Their gentle courage breaks relational stagnation. Their emotional integrity reorganizes group dynamics. They are not the background. They are the threshold. And when they speak, move, or soften at just the right time, the whole system shifts. Not with force, but with resonant timing, heartfelt truth, and relational mastery. They don't just keep the peace. They tip the field toward deeper connection, and everyone feels the difference.